One of the things that we really like about Maple is that it's very good at transitioning students from the academic aspects of mathematics and computational science to what the real world is. And one of the real strengths of Maple, which I don't think you can underestimate, is it's very good at handling very large data sets. So one of the things that a student's going to see when they leave is that there are no such thing as data sets of 20 points or 50 points. You know, you have data sets of 10,000 data points, or you have data sets of 500,000 data points. And so how do they learn to work with that? Well, if they are going to work with that, they either need to transition to a tool that can handle that because they haven't been working with something they can handle before. But Maple has the ability that it handles, as well as several other programs and platforms, very large data sets. And that's one of the reasons I like it as a research tool, is because I can actually take extremely large data sets and I can work with those as easily as if I had written programs from scratch. At our institution, like I said, we have a lot of really good students. We actually have students who come from areas where they didn't get a very good preparation, and they wind up going to graduate programs at Ivy League schools and getting jobs that are paying six-digit figures. And so these students are very capable. A lot of times they don't even know that they're capable. So one of the things that's really nice about Maple is at any time I can branch off and give them something else, and I can challenge the better students. A good example of that is we were talking about Kepler's laws and Keplerian motion, and I had a worksheet that showed Kepler's laws and Keplerian motion, and then I had a student that came up and she said she'd like to do something with Kepler's law. She just thought it was fascinating. And what can you do? And I said, well, there's a very simple little model that you could do where what you do is you add a rocket engine. So it adds just another force term, and then you can play with the idea of, what does the rocket engine do to the two-body problem. So find the plane of motion, or is it still in a plane? When is the rocket engine going to keep the rocket in the same plane of motion? When are you going to leave the plane of motion? And so she went and, in the middle of the semester, she becomes one of our best math students, obviously going to go to graduate school. She's giving a talk here in a non-student section with other faculty people. And she got started essentially by looking at this question, which was just a natural branching point from Maple. There was another student, same kind of situation, in the multivariable calculus course, and we were talking about elliptical orbits, and he said, well, are there really ever orbits that are that elliptical around the Earth? Satellites are all like geosynchronous. And I said, well, no, there's the Molniya orbits, which are highly elliptical, and the Soviet Union or Russia used them, for satellite communication because they go up over the north. And so he essentially used Maple to construct a three-dimensional model where you could look on Earth and see what it looks like from your Earth viewing point to look at a satellite in a Molniya orbit. And there are several other examples. I've got a student who's now in medical school. He's probably going to become a cardiologist. He's always loved medicine, but he also likes math. And so he wanted to do something with math and medicine. He actually did an REU at another university and was using another software tool. And so we thought, well, we'll try to do a project together and try to use his software tool. But it was just too hard. It was too inflexible. And so we came back to Maple and said, well, let's just ditch the other one and we'll use Maple. And what we did was we actually used a solution to what's called the Fitzhugh-Nagumo equation. He took the solution, which I gave him, to this nonlinear partial differential equation and asked the question, can you fit this to cardiac action potentials? In other words, to the electrical signal from the heart. And then can you tell when a cardiac action potential is abnormal because it deviates from your ability to fit the normal cardiac action potentials with these closed form solutions And he was able to do that, and it was turned out to be a real nice project. And so, there are all sorts of examples where, the daily use of Maple branches into undergraduate research. There are all sorts of instances where the undergraduate research can lead to other things. And also, there are all sorts of situations where what I'm doing, because it's in Maple, I can give them a worksheet and say, you don't have a clue because this, there's some measure theory in here. But don't worry about that. If you just click and go, then you'll see what is all being produced, and at least you'll get a feel for what's going on, and then maybe you want to look at something in more depth